spent billions chasing an electric dream. Now EV sales are crashing, their flagship Taycan is stalling, and the brand that once defined driving joy is stuck in a silent identity crisis. Let's talk about how Porsche tried to plug into the future and ended up short-circuiting. So why did Porsche, a brand built on the growl of a flat six and the thrill of redlining on a Sunday morning, decide to throw billions at batteries and charging stations? Well, part of it wasn't really a choice. Governments around the world, especially in Europe, started slapping automakers with strict emissions targets. The EU practically said either clean up your act or pay up, and nobody in Stuttgart wanted to be footing fines when they could be selling sports cars. Over in China, the world's largest automaker, EVs were turning into a national obsession, with government subsidies and consumer demand driving insane growth. If Porsche wanted to stay relevant in Beijing and Shanghai, they had to plug in. But the bigger shove came from Porsche's parent company, Volkswagen. Remember Dieselgate, the little scandal where VW was caught cheating emissions tests so badly it made Wall Street bankers look like saints? That fiasco cost Volkswagen billions and shredded its reputation. So VW's response was to reinvent itself as an EV powerhouse, almost as if to say, see, we're not the bad guys anymore, we're saving the planet. Naturally, Porsche, sitting inside the Volkswagen family tree, had to play along. And what better way to help the redemption arc than to lead the charge in luxury performance EVs? From Porsche's perspective, it wasn't just about compliance or corporate PR. It was a chance to redefine what driving joy looked like in an electric future. If Tesla could sell Silicon Valley execs on the idea of an EV that's quick in a straight line, Porsche believed it could do even better. Build a machine that's not just fast, but thrilling, refined, and undeniably German engineered. The Taycan, launched in 2019, was their big swing at proving that an EV could wear the Porsche crest without embarrassment. And Porsche wasn't thinking small. Their official 2030 strategy laid it all out. By the end of the decade, they wanted 80% of their sales to be electric. Ambitious? Bold? Maybe even visionary? But, as we'll see soon, cannonballs make a big splash and then a very awkward silence when the waters close back up. When the Taycan rolled out in 2019, it was more than just another electric car. It was Porsche planting its flag in Tesla's backyard. The launch was wrapped in fireworks, slick ads, and the kind of drama you'd expect for a model that was supposed to define Porsche's future. And, to be fair, the critics loved it. Reviewers praised the way it handled, the steering feel, the gorgeous design. For a minute, it looked like Porsche had cracked the code. An EV that wasn't just fast but actually felt like a Porsche. But here's where reality stepped in. While the Taycan was lauded for its driving dynamics, its range was noticeably shorter than Tesla's. That's kind of like bringing the best-looking dish to a potluck but realizing it feeds only 2 people. And then there was the price tag. It was eye-wateringly high, even by Porsche standards. Sure, exclusivity is part of Porsche's brand DNA, but when you're competing with Tesla's relatively cheaper options, it narrowed the appeal to a very slim slice of wealthy buyers. China was supposed to be Porsche's golden ticket. The EV craze there was booming, with government subsidies and an appetite for electric status symbols. But the Taycan never took off. Chinese buyers who care a lot about range and value for money weren't impressed. And once the novelty wore off, sales started sliding everywhere else too. By 2023, the Taycan's sales had collapsed by 49%. For a car that was meant to carry Porsche's EV strategy on its shoulders, it suddenly looked like those shoulders weren't broad enough. What started as Porsche's proud declaration of "we can do this better than Tesla" was quickly turning into a quiet question. Wait, can we? Now, on paper, Porsche's EV play made perfect sense. In practice, it turned into a mess because they overlooked one crucial thing: their own fans. The Porsche faithful, the die-hard 911 crowd, don't exactly dream about silence. They dream about throttle response, gear shifts, and that unmistakable engine note that makes your hair stand up. Strip that away, and suddenly you've got a car that feels clinical. Fast, yes. Impressive, sure. But emotional? Not really. And Porsche's entire brand is built on emotion. The bigger issue was that Porsche's identity never really translated to the EV world. Enthusiasts buy into Porsche because of sound, engagement, and simplicity. Then came timing. Batteries were expensive, charging infrastructure was slow, and just as Porsche was ramping up production, the global appetite for EVs started cooling off. The narrative shifted from EVs are the future to wait, maybe hybrids aren't so bad after all. Porsche had gone all in just as the market started pulling back. And while Porsche was figuring out how to make EVs feel luxurious, Tesla and BYD were eating their lunch. Tesla kept pushing software innovation and supercharger access. BYD cranked out affordable EVs like they were making dumplings. Porsche, on the other hand, was left with a high-priced product that was neither the most innovative nor the most accessible. In the EV race, they weren't the hare or the tortoise. They were more like the guy who shows up late because he thought it started tomorrow. If the Taycan was Porsche's flashy statement piece, the Macan EV was supposed to be the bread and butter, the volume hero that would make electrification actually pay off. After all, SUVs are Porsche's cash cow. The logic was simple. If you can get people to swap their gas-powered Macan for an electric one, the numbers start adding up fast. Except the launch didn't exactly go as planned. The Macan EV was delayed, arriving late to a market that was already cooling. By the time it finally showed up, the reception was lukewarm at best. People weren't lining up around the block, they were shrugging and asking, so, does it do anything Tesla's Model Y doesn't? That's a dangerous question when your biggest selling point is supposed to be brand prestige. To make matters worse, Porsche had already pulled the plug on the internal combustion Macan in Europe. That meant if you wanted a Macan, you were basically forced into the EV version whether you liked it or not. Some buyers went along with it, but many others simply walked away. Instead of creating a smooth migration, Porsche accidentally created a customer exodus. Meanwhile, Tesla's Model Y was dominating the global EV market, and newer upstarts were gaining traction with fresh designs, better value, and faster innovation cycles. Porsche found itself in the awkward position of trying to convince buyers that its EV SUV was worth the premium, while everyone else was busy chasing brands that felt fresher, smarter, and often came cheaper. The Macan EV was supposed to be the car that saved Porsche's EV strategy. Instead, it exposed just how far behind the curve they actually were. After all the billion-dollar bets and bold promises, Porsche quietly walked back its headline goal in 2024. That whole 80% EV sales by 2030 thing? Yeah, that was gone. Reuters reported that Porsche officially retreated from the target, essentially admitting that the all-electric dream wasn't going to pay off. The company that once shouted about leading the charge into the future is now whispering about balance and flexibility. So, what does that look like? A multi-powertrain strategy, which is a translation for they're hedging their bets with a mix of gas, hybrids, and EVs. Instead of cannonballing into the deep end, Porsche is now dipping a toe in every pool at once. You want an EV? Sure. They'll sell you a Taycan or a Macan EV. You want gas? Well, don't worry because they're cooking up a smaller combustion SUV. You want both? The hybrid 911 is on the way, which feels a little like Porsche admitting, fine, you can have your flat 6 and your green badge too. More importantly, Porsche is rediscovering what made the brand special in the first place. GT-style cars that focus on driver engagement. The sound, feel, involvement, the things no EV has managed to replicate. It's as if Porsche realized that silence isn't golden, it's just boring. So the pivot is less about abandoning EVs entirely and more about admitting that the future is going to be messy, with gas, hybrid, and electric coexisting for a long time. Porsche doesn't want to pick a side anymore. They just want to keep selling cars that feel like Porsche no matter what powers them. But let's be clear about something. Porsche isn't giving up on EVs, but it's definitely changing its game plan. What we're seeing now is a full-blown strategic rethink. Instead of trying to out-Tesla, Porsche is shifting its attention back to what made people fall in love with the brand in the first place. Cars that stir the soul, not just light up spec sheets. They're still investing in electrification. There's a second-generation Taycan in the pipeline and a Cayenne EV on the way, but the key difference is that they're no longer betting the entire house on batteries. Instead, the new strategy is more balanced. Hybrids, gas, EVs, all under one roof. That way, Porsche doesn't alienate the purists while still keeping a seat at the EV table. For enthusiasts, this is good news. It means Porsche actually listened. They realized that people don't want just numbers and charging speeds. They want engagement, sound, and that intangible Porsche-ness that no spreadsheet can cover. The funny thing is, Porsche's mistake wasn't going electric. The world is heading that way whether we like it or not. Their mistake was forgetting who they are in the process. A Porsche is supposed to make you feel something every time you turn the key, or in this case, press the start button. The Taycan proved they could build an electric car that's fast and beautiful, but somewhere along the line they left out the soul. If Porsche wants to recover, the blueprint isn't complicated. It's just hard to execute. Build EVs that feel alive, not sterile. Fix the ownership experience so customers aren't strangled by insane price tags and dealer markups. And most importantly, lead with performance, not compliance. People buy Porsches because they want to feel joy, not because they want to meet an emissions target. So, what do you think? Can Porsche find its soul again in a hybrid, multi-powertrain world, or did their EV gamble permanently dull the brand's edge? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.